I quit my job to travel about a year ago, and it's the best decision I've ever made. If you clicked on this video, maybe you're deciding whether you want to travel or whether you want to stay in your job or take a sabbatical or something. And all I can say is that it was the best decision I've ever made, and I don't regret it, and I have not regretted it for a second. You know, when I made that decision, it was 2 years ago, and I was like, I think I'm going to travel. I don't know when. And instead of waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for like a good time to get out, I just got out. And the thing that will happen is if you do that, you will find a way to make it work. Like, obviously some people go back after traveling, and if you do, then fine. Like, I haven't gone back, I'm still traveling, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that, but that's because I'm working hard. I worked hard, saved money, and now I'm still working hard. You know, I'm traveling and I'm working, and when you really enjoy something like traveling, like I have, you will make it work. Like, you just will. We're so lucky now that there's so much technology, there's so much like remote work that you can do, where you really don't need to stay at home and stay in a 9 to 5 as the world has known it forever. The job market is shifting, particularly with AI and the rise of tech and everything like that. You really can just work online. You can start your own business from scratch. You can start so many different things that might become income streams, and you've just got to, start things. Don't be afraid to start them. That's why in my other videos I've talked about how you should start being creative and stop consuming, because by exploring these different ventures, you're going to find your passions, you're going to find the things that make you you and the things that you're good at, and eventually you're going to find ways to monetize that. And a lot of those things you don't need to monetize them, but I think if you quit your job, it will become like a catalyst for that kind of thing where you put the pressure on yourself and you'll actually start doing it. The thing that I found when I was employed is I work 5 days a week, 8.5 hour days unless I work overtime, and I come home and I'm just drained from the day. I have no motivation to work on the things that I care about, and because of that, if I stayed there, my life would have just been a bit of a plateau of like, I'm not happy in this job, but I don't have the energy to change it. So by taking that drastic measure of just quitting, I gave myself the ability to change it. I gave myself the time to work on myself and figure out where I want to go. And I gave myself the motivation because I'm someone who needs that pressure, or has in the past needed that pressure to start working on something. Since then I've found out ways to not need that pressure, but if you're in a job where you're not happy but it's draining, it's going to be so easy to just surrender your life to that. And I think that's perfectly fine for so many people. If I was one of those people, then I would still be there, but I was not happy in that job, and I'm so glad I did something about it. So I was talking to a doctor the other day, and I told him that I'm going to be in Bali in a few weeks, and then just anywhere in Asia for the foreseeable future. And he was like, wow, how do you afford that? I could never. And I was like, you can afford that. You earn so much money. I earned a decent bit of money, but I saved up for a year and now I can travel, and I'll get income streams to help me maintain that long term. But you really don't need that much money to go and travel long term. If you go to somewhere like Southeast Asia or South America or even Eastern Europe, there's so many cheap places in Africa as well. You can stretch your money so far. When I was in Thailand and I volunteered at a hostel for a bit, I was paying about £5 to £10 a day, living in paradise, sitting on the beach, eating great food. I had a gym at the hostel, I had a bed, I had community. There is just an unbelievable amount of value you can get for such a small amount of money. There really isn't the hurdles that some people think there are to travel. So many people are like, how do you do that? No, it's simple. Just save up a little bit of money, buy an outward journey, buy like one plane ticket to Thailand, to Malaysia, to, Brazil, wherever it is, and book a hostel for like the first 2 nights, and that's all you need to do. That's all I did, is book a flight, book a hostel for 2 nights, and then I was travelling for, from September to now, so like 9 months, and I haven't got sick of it yet. I haven't had any big problems yet. You don't need to plan that far in advance. You can kind of just do stuff on a whim. You don't need to go with a group. I went on my own. Solo travelling is huge now. You can go to a hostel, and if you pick a good one, most of the people there will be solo travellers or in like pairs, and all the people there, for the most part, are social. And also you can get like your party hostels, or you can get your quiet hostels, and I kind of went for like a mixture of the two. I didn't really go for like full on party because that's not what I was looking for, but I still went for social ones. I like that kind of laid back social vibe, and there's so much of that in Southeast Asia, which is where I started off. So what I would say is, just do it. Just take the leap, book the plane ticket, hand in your notice. If you're debating it, just, grab life by the balls and just do it, because, life's not going to happen to you. You need to make it happen. I've created some of the best memories of my life by doing this. I've made amazing friendships. I've met amazing people. My life has completely changed. And, I would go back and do it earlier if I could. I would never consider that it was the wrong decision. And as time goes on, I'm just more and more certain it was the right decision. The thing is, if you don't like grab life by its balls and just fucking go for it, you are going to be stuck where you are. You really do have to take that leap before you're ready. It's the same as with starting a new project. It's the same with anything that's like uncomfortable that most people don't do. They don't do it because it's scary. And maybe that stability is needed for you, and if it is, then fair enough, stay in it. But I'm just saying there isn't that high of a barrier to travelling. The money isn't that, you don't need that much money. You don't need to plan that much. I did a lot of planning, and then my plan went out of the window after a few days. Like, I planned to start in Bangkok and go north, and I started in Bangkok and immediately went south. And half the countries I planned to go to, I didn't go to, and I went to countries I didn't expect to, and I met people and I followed them and joined them, and then I left those people and went with other people. That's how it works when you're a solo traveller. And it's just so much easier than you think. Like, I went into it having read so much about solo travelling and about hostels being social, and you hear it and you're like, wow, but can I do that? Like, I'm something of like an introvert, I would say, maybe slightly towards the extroverted scale, but like, I don't like going out and introducing myself to loads of new people. So I was scared going into like a foreign country knowing no one. But literally the first night I got there and I slept, I was jet lagged. The second night, I just went and sat down, and some people joined at the table, and I talked to them. They were like, do you want to come? We're going to a restaurant, joined them, and then every day after that, I had friends, I was with people, and it really forces you out of your shell. And honestly, it will transform you. It will force you to get out of your shell, out of your comfort zone, out of the bubble of being at home, and it will really teach you to be yourself. Because when you're traveling and you get this kind of constant flow of new people, it will become exhausting if you're like putting a mask on and not being yourself. So what you'll find is, because there's so many people coming through, the best thing to do is just be natural, just chill. Because you're living your whole life there, that's the only thing to do. And then you'll realise that your people will, flock to you, will be attracted by your authenticity, and you just do make friends, and then you realise, they like me for who I am, like who I really am. I'm not putting on a front in any sort of way. And I'm not saying that's something that I did loads, but like I think when you're at home, you do modify who you are a little bit with certain people because people know each other, right? Whereas when you're travelling, you don't know this person, you don't know all the cycle of people coming through these hostels, you're probably not going to see most of them again, so you just don't have that fear, you don't have that blocker that's like stopping you from being authentic. So it really does help, and it genuinely helped me get out of my shell and learn so many new skills of like socialization and like going up to people, introducing myself and making friends, or being like, we don't really vibe, that's fine. That's not something that I was ever able to do. And then I travelled, and everyone is so open. Everyone is so, ready to get to know you. And, some people aren't. Some people are there for other reasons, and fair enough. You'll get that vibe, you'll talk to them and then they'll maybe be dismissive, but usually they'll be polite. That's the other thing, is that the people who have chosen to travel have all taken that leap. So it's a subset of people, right, who have decided to grab life by the balls and just fucking go for it. Like, that's why 90% of the people you meet travelling aren't, boring, they aren't, they've got something to say, they've got something interesting, they have passion, they have like excitement for life, and that's what travelling gave me. And you just learn so much from those people travelling, from the locals, immerse yourself in the local culture is such a huge thing. If you can volunteer, if you can maybe teach English, if you can, just eat at local restaurants. That's another reason why I advocate slow travel. I travelled really slowly. I stayed in one place for 3 months in Thailand, and or 2 months, sorry. And I became a regular at certain restaurants. Same thing when I was in Vietnam. For 2 weeks I was in one city, and I went to the same cafe like 5 or 6 times. And the waiters and the people around there, the old ladies running the shops, they get to know you, and it's such a wholesome and peaceful vibe, and especially in those kinds of countries. They're famous for the people being happy and the food being good, so that's why it's just nice to like, find a great restaurant and just go and become a regular there and like immerse yourself, see what the locals are eating and eat that. It's just fun. So yeah, it was the best thing I've ever done, and I recommend it if you're thinking about doing it. Yeah, if you think you might travel, you have any questions, comment, ask what you want to ask, budgets, locations, recommendations. I have a lot of them, so yeah.